MCAT Radio is filmed and live here at 101.5 KFGM and replays on MCAT Channel 189 on Spectrum cable channels. So, welcome back. It's President's Day. We're here live for you guys out there in Missoula land looking to figure out what you're going to do on either it's your day off or you're working for President's Day. So, if you're working for President's Day, this one's for you. Woo! Yeah, good job. So, Neil, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty good. You know, I made the joke to my wife, like, I would like to thank former President Barack Obama on President's Day. This concludes my list.
Really?
Nah,
you love Obama, don't you?
Thanks, Obama.
You love him. He actually did a podcast recently. I watched that one with I can't remember his name, but it was basically just him just talking about how, you know, it's the young people have to kind of take over the movement if they're going to move the Democratic Party forward, and I think that's very much the same.
The young people.
Yeah. I just remember him every time there's like an election coming up. I always feel like he's like scours people. Just like, you got to go out and vote. You got to vote. It just replays in my head over and over again. Yeah. But I can understand where he's coming from for sure because, you know, people who don't believe their vote counts is losing to the narrative for sure. Yeah. So get out there and vote for whoever you want.
I mean, look, depending on where you live, it might not count for a single vote per person in terms of like weight, you know, because that's the electoral college is it's weighted. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Weighted by districts, by drawn lines, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. But if you wanna win politics, you gotta play politics.
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta play the game. But also, if you appeal to enough people, people are going to vote for you. That's always kind of how it is. Yeah. But yeah, we're jumping right on top of like political stuff. But also, I wanted to talk about a shoot that you did just recently for the Midtown Commons. So Missoula held a neighborhood meeting on the Midtown Commons, aka the Southgate Triangle. AKA, a lot of people are not too happy about their input and lack of affordable housing options in that particular area. The city was able to, yes, and part of the Midtown Master Plan is they've acquired this through many of the assets through the sale of Montana Railing to Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which extended the Bitterroot Trail. They also included the Montana Railing Park, which they're on their phase 2 of development, which is looking pretty good. They got a lot of development parcels being presented and have ideas. They did it in their last meeting on Wednesday for City Council. But, you know, we also have MRA Director Ellen Buchanan spoke about some of the limitations the city has on this particular site as it comes to dealing with affordable housing and just not being in that vein of things anymore.
The attempts that we've made over the years to try to spur and incentivize development of this property. We participated in 2 different planning efforts, and there was a park identified, that's correct, and it was a couple of acres, that's correct. It was a very, very different economic time than what we're in today. Construction costs were much lower, interest rates were much lower, and you could probably have a larger park and fewer, and these were basically mixed use, but primarily residential proposals. You could have, you know, the larger land area being used for park and less being used to develop the portions of the development that pay the bills than you can in today's market. So we're in a different market now. And what could have been done in 2005 or 2008 or 9 can't be done today. The other thing that comes into play with respect to park size, and this is something that we talked about a lot during the development of Prost. You've got what's the ideal park size from the standpoint of efficient maintenance versus what can you actually do in a built environment. One of the most underparked areas in the city is Franklin and Ford. Show me how you could assemble 5 acres when you're trying to piece properties together to have a 5-acre park. It's not realistic. You have to build neighborhood parks that are smaller and more frequent. And if we're going to build density in the city, we have to provide parkland. I mean, you've got to have a decent quality of life, and that's what gives you that. But you've got to do it incrementally. And to take what was aspirational 10, 15 years ago and try to do it in today's market simply doesn't pencil, and that land will sit there vacant.
All right, so that was Alan Buchanan explaining like the city, and many of them have said the same thing many times before. It's that Prost is the parks and rec, open space, trails, all that kind of stuff to help become a greener Missoula and not just become urban sprawl. And so that one of the big things is, and we all want to have a Rivara-sized project that has some kind of land trust associated with, like on this North Side Scott Street project. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You know, the sentiment on tax-funded programs should have some kind of affordable housing component within them. However, as the United Development Code process came to be, the concept of affordable housing was just not in the vocabulary. It had the idea was like, the big picture from what I'm seeing from the city and what they've been saying over and over again is that they want to increase housing stock. And by increasing housing stock, you make the market a little bit flooded with supply. And therefore demand goes, and we're playing a game that's dependent on a overarching market that as of right now really feels unfair when they talk about fair market pricing.
Right. Well, and, you know, like one issue I think, and I don't know a ton on this subject, but with that supply versus demand mentality for housing specifically is Missoula's not a closed system, right? Anybody can decide, oh, hey, Missoula's a nice town. I like Missoula. And, oh, look, they've got plenty of available housing, right?
Yeah.
Which then is, from outside of the area, reducing our supply.
Exactly. And with the Unified Development Code, we have all these guardrails in place, but the guardrails also make some restrictions on how large you make these developments happen, thus curtailing and condensing any kind of affordability options on those as well. But then at the same time, there's a lot of people in Missoula that decried that they don't want the mega growth they see in these kind of areas where we have giant apartment complexes just littering parts of Missoula, but at the same time, the county is a little bit more stringent to the state when it comes to those high-density apartment complexes.
That is true.
Because the state legislature a couple years ago basically said, before the Unified Development Code came to be, is they came up with commercial-type complexes where you can build up 6 stories without any kind of major restrictions, and so they opened up a kind of like a can of worms when it came to a lot of this kind of potential development. Not to mention, you know, one of the things is that a lot of county communities, East Missoula, Bonner, you have all these major developments that are coming out of the blue, and it's good for housing stock, but it's also creating a whole new growing pains for some of the smaller communities that are dealing with the impact of unsubstantial housing here in Missoula, which does not have enough placement for people in Missoula.
Yeah.
And that was kind of shown after the pandemic bubble that burst and had all these people in here.
Yeah, you know, I'm currently applied for the Rivara because it just seems like it's a great way to build some equity as a young potential home buyer.
Yeah. And honestly, good luck. You know, that's just one of the things is that this Scott Street Rivara project, they're doing a lottery system to see who's eligible to get into those affordable housing units.
Weighted lottery.
Weighted.
Yeah.
So if you come in with, a couple gets multiple entries.
It's 2 entries.
And then if you're like
3 entries for a couple.
Yep. And then if you're a family of 3 or more, you can get as up to 5 or more entries.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely that need for housing, and the Affordable Housing Land Trust not only is just a city thing, but a lot of partners have their fingers in this pot to make sure this land trust continues and moving forward, which is just not a thing when it comes to the property over at the Midtown or the Southgate Triangle, Midtown Commons, they call it. So that's the thing. It's a big debate. There are a lot of people talking back and forth. You were actually there, so you have more knowledge of it, because I took a couple quotes from there, here and there. I didn't watch the whole thing, but...
It was shot over at City Life.
Yep.
They have a little conference room. It was a nice personal room. Everybody had direct line of sight and very easy to hear everybody. So that was nice, I think, to feel heard.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, you know, it's on our YouTube page, MCAT TV Missoula. You can watch the whole thing. It was about an hour, 40 minutes or so.
About an hour and 20.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, from what the room looked like, it kind of reminded me of MCAT's old staff room with the little corner in the back room with the refrigerator and stuff.
A little bit.
Yeah, really
I could can see that.
I know. That was the first thing I thought when I saw it was like old MCAT staff room.
I miss that staff
I
room.
do. I love that staff room. We had like a little drawers that can be pulled out, and we had the endless array of DVDs. And then we ended up just tossing them, get rid of them all. We got rid of our hard media, and we moved more towards digitizing. And that's what we kind of do even to today. If you have any home movies and stuff like that.
Ooh, segue.
A segue. You know, you can always drop them off here at MCAT, and all we need is you to bring your external hard drive, thumb drive, or whatever. Make sure that the gigs match the amount of tapes, if not more, and we'll get you a call when we're done. We got a couple people. One just got done over the weekend. We know we have 8mm tape, which is crazy because we had to import it from like Japan. It has all the Japanese characters on there.
Yeah, Sony 8mm.
Oof, that's gonna die.
Yeah, well, you know, like
even the tapes are terrible.
They definitely don't have the longevity of VHS.
Not at all.
And you know, VHS wasn't even the best in terms of overall quality and longevity.
But it held up.
It was no Betamax.
Yeah, but VHS has held up way better than 8mm tape, that's for sure.
Yeah.
8mm tape, man, it just does not want to last.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is if you look at the magnetic tape on there and you open it up, there's a plastic thing on the bottom and the top to enclose it perfectly per tape. And yet the tape is still not good enough to preserve footage.
You can't hold on to that magnetic data.
No, not like VHS, which is just like kind of like it's the cheapest made, but it's one of the more reliable ones we've had.
For those under 20 listening at home, VHS means a vertical helical scan.
Yep. And it records, you know, you have long play, short play, super long play, even kids who climb on rocks, all sorts of fun different things, you know.
So there was, you know, it was like a little bit of about the size of a book.
Yeah.
And you'd put it in this little box under your TV, and then you could watch a movie, and each one could only store one movie.
And probably the most advanced tapes out there are mini DVs.
Oh yeah.
Mini DVs, their quality is amazing when you look at them.
Yeah.
I mean, they shot.
The TV tape could get all the way up to HD.
Yeah, they shot 28 days later on those Canon.
Only parts.
Only parts of it. Well, like especially the ones where they had him wandering around the empty streets of London between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m.
And you know, it looks good.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks solid.
Mini DV.
And you can upconvert them too.
Find it at a store near you.
Yeah, there's some good quality when it comes to a lot of those mini DV tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an aesthetic too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate a lot of those.
You still get like some of the digital look, but some of the analog look. I like DV tape a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tonight we don't have your blender class. There's no classes happening.
Tonight.
The library's closed.
Yes, the library's closed for President's Day.
Yes, it's President's Day. If you haven't already heard already, and if you're going out and about and wanting to eat something, do you have any suggestions for folks?
On this, the Day of Presidents.
A hamburger.
Yeah.
French fries.
I think you mean freedom fries.
Yes, today especially is freedom fries.
Hashtag not my President's Day.
Well, you know, President's Day is an amalgamation of both George Washington and Lincoln, whose birthdays kind of fall similarly, and they just put it, let's do it like third Monday of the month. Call it good.
Okay, well, I guess in the vein of hamburgers and freedom fries, Frugals.
Yes, Frugals.
For a well-priced, pretty good burger.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, they got the cheese curds, you know.
Love the cheese curds.
Yeah, I love the cheese curds for sure. That's a good choice, honestly. Yeah, I'll go with you on that one. So if you're out, Freddy's is the choice for you. That's our suggestion.
They're pretty good.
Oh, yeah, not Freddy's. But
Frugals.
Frugals and Freddy's.
Freddy's if you want some custard.
So go for President's Day. The F is for freedom. Let's go Frugals or Freddy's.
At Freddy's, you can get some frozen custard. It's like ice cream.
Yep.
No, it's good. I like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit more.
It's better than Froyo.
It's thicker for sure in terms of ice cream. But anyways, we have some more footage for you guys. This is from MCAT TV Missoula. This is Meet the Playwright and director of Can't Drink Saltwater. And so this is an artist talk with Kendra Potter, the director of through the Montana Repertory Theater upcoming production of Can't Drink Saltwater. It's a partnership with the University of Montana Theater and Dance to hear the process of writing and reworking the amazing script and just to make it work. So without further ado, here's this.
The reading in Missoula a couple years back, and it really found the play to be profoundly powerful and moving. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the full production. And so I'm curious, what were some of the biggest challenges about creating that full production and moving from the page to that full production?
That's a great question. Fear was the biggest, I would say. I was scared. Assembling the team, there were like a couple of key roles, and I don't just mean like performing roles, but like positions that I knew that if we got the right people in the room, we could win. And I knew that I wanted to be the dumbest one in the room. Like I just wanted to keep getting more brilliant bodies in the space so that I could talk less and less and less. And I feel like we've done that. But that was challenging just in waiting for like a deep gut like yes. And then when we get the yes, it was like, okay, I hope they have a yes too. I hope they agree that they're the right person. And so that was challenging. And that now the walls on the stage.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah.
Transitions. I wrote I also knew when the script was done at first, I was like, this is, there's some like really fun stuff for actors to do, but this is a designer play. Like this is a play that it's going to be all about the design if we can get the funding to make it happen. And then we did get the funding, and then the designers really went for it. And now we have 11 students trying to move the design around, and they're doing incredibly. But there's 26 scenes, which means there's 25 scene changes. And these students built 48 flats, which is a lot of flats
So many
to
flats.
build.
I can't even hear that number. I get so upset. I'm like, what have I done?
That's my, daily.
But
I'm
it's
like, what is it?
exciting though. I mean, the caliber of the production and I'm excited. I've said to all the students, I'm like, if you end up in New York, you have a job already.
Sorry.
All right, so that was a little taste of the director. That was Megan Finn responding to getting this play, Can't Drink Salt Water, off the ground. So if you guys get a chance, you want to check that out through the Montana Repertory Theater, directed by Megan Finn. So some stuff there. Montana Repertory Theater. I might be speaking out of turn on this one, but I believe that they try to do 3 plays. They do a couple read-throughs. They've done a couple here at the library to see which one sticks and which has a good response. They do this a couple times. And, well, they don't just host it here. They probably host it other places just to kind of get an idea. And, kind of like what we did when Roxy Theater had those kind of individual plays for writers. And so they get actors to read these plays in front of microphones. And they just kind of...
table read.
Yep. Not even a table read, but like a performance where they step in front of a microphone, like an open mic. And they just read the script to each other. So we got some good stuff there. And MCAT filmed one a couple of years... no, actually just over the last fall. Yeah. So they're just different plays, different ideas, and different things like that. So yeah, Montana Repertory Theater. Give them some love. All right. So I also wanted to mention that we have another clip for you guys before we move on to more fun segments for sure. And this has to do with the elk on Mount Jumbo.
The elk.
Yes. You got to understand that, the city of Missoula had a special presentation on Wednesday. They had a Mount Jumbo Elk Spotter meeting 2026 to talk about this. Stop going on Mount Jumbo. It's closed for this season. That's basically what this means. It's all this work, all this effort, all this stuff is just trying to convince people stay off trails that are closed for the season. They're not going to be open until mid to late March. They just want to make sure that people aren't hiking on the mountain, Mount Jumbo, especially because elk are grazing around this time, and they want to keep them as natural as they can.
Maybe we should make a 1950s styled PSA. It's like,
should we just do it now?
Stay off Mount Jumbo.
Oh, look at little Billy. He's trying to get up on Mount Jumbo. We better stop there, Billy.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Listen, Billy, you can't go up there. It's going to be a $500 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
$500, but in the year of 1950, I could buy a house with that.
That's funny. See you later, Billy. And then just hear a distant gunshot. That's so bad.
Dark.
That got dark. But anyways, that's our ad. Do not climb Mount Jumbo. You're listening to 101.5 KFGM. This is not a pre-recorded ad read. I'm doing this live. I just changed the tone of my voice. You can listen to us in Missoula, Bitterroot, Frenchtown, and more by logging on to 1015kfgm.com. mcattalk.org. That is the website where you can listen to it live anywhere in the world as long as you have the old internet by your side. Mm-hmm. And you can always rewatch the replay. We have our own YouTube page, MCAT Radio, where you can watch us talk and not just listen to us talk.
How many subscribers on our MCAT Radio YouTube do we have, Scott?
1.
Yeah!
Yeah! But it's MCAT.
It's doing numbers.
Yeah, MCAT Lite is following MCAT Radio.
Like and subscribe.
It's funny, but it's nice just to kind of put it out there, and we're just gonna try to organically build the audience and not just push our follow us on MCAT Radio, even though it has nothing to do with the MCAT testing, which can be very confusing.
That brings me back to an episode of MCAT Gaming that we did.
Oh, right.
Was it that dessert fight game?
Yes.
MCAT Gaming, check it out. It's fun.
Yeah, we do an MCAT Gaming channel too, where you see us more and we just play games and we do all sorts of fun, frustrating games. And sometimes we have a little fun doing it. One thing I do want to play is that Lego Party game together. That looks like it's a really fun time. It's basically just Mario Party but with Legos. Fun. Yeah, nothing special about it. But yeah, so we do have a quote. We do have a clip from the Mount Semble Elk Spotters meeting. And so if you guys want to check that out, it is on our YouTube page and it's been on there for the last 3 days. So without further ado, here's a quote from here. Just talking about some of the elk and some of what their animal behavior is all about.
Learning and environment all contribute to behavior and drive behavior. And Ryan did a great job teeing up learning and how learning and the environment drive elk behavior in Mount Jumbo, specifically learning as it relates to humans and the environment as it relates to animals moving to winter range. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but before I want just to take a step back, and I'm sure everyone in this room knows it, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Elk and animals are often responding to, instincts, their environment, or something that they have learned. And that includes things like weather. So animals will alter their behavior to thermoregulate, as you can see with this animal here. They'll alter their behavior to move seasonally to access resources or avoid deep snowpack. They'll also change their behavior based on group composition. So you can see that these animals aren't backing down from these wolves because there are quite a lot of animals within the area. And so group composition can sometimes drive behavior of animals as well. And then finally, prior disturbance or experience. So here is some photos from Arizona, actually, where some elk are quite aggressive to citizenry in the town. Actually, I think there was maybe a fatality or injury with some really aggressive elk. But essentially, prior disturbance, prior experience with people with no negative consequences can create habituation, and in this case, drive behavior. And so we can all agree that elk, like other animals, are behaviorally responding based on instinct, learning, and environment. And I just talked about a few examples of how that can happen. So we can all agree on that. The animal behavior is this thing that we agree on. So yay, we did that. But so now that we agree on what is behavior, how do we quantify animal behavior? This is something that's much trickier because you're taking something that almost feels a bit abstract, visual observations, for example, and quantifying it in a rigorous way that science demands. And most of what we think we know about elk behavior as a field, animal ecology, for example, comes from observing patterns. And I want to take a step back and talk about how we got here as a field. So in the 1930s, scientists in a laboratory
for you
were
guys
wondering the
to
same
enjoy,
thing. They say, how do we take these observations?
Notwithstanding, if you want to check out the whole entire program, you can go look it up by Mount Jumbo Elk Spotting Meeting 2026 on MCAT TV, Missoula.
And as always, stay off Mount Jumbo.
Yep.
If you don't find the elk, they'll find you.
Yep, it's good times there. All right. So I've been looking at the Winter Olympics. Crazy stuff going on there, especially with Canada, and they're cheating at curling.
Wait, they cheated at curling?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
Isn't that the one thing that they're supposed to sweep? Get it?
Yes. But do you not actually know what the whole deal is?
No, I have not heard anything about the Olympics.
So there's a video going viral about literally the Canadian guy who gets called out for cheating, and he just swears, and he's just like, "You want to go?" Like, he literally is just like, and everyone on the comments and everything everywhere is just like, "Yeah, Canada, right?" Whoa. It's like literally not looking good for him at all.
Wow.
Like, oh. It's just
Wow.
it is one of those things. Is like I can understand. Like you can just be like, oh, that's not cheating. Like, oh, you know, if you're told me blah blah blah. But then just going that hard at that point, it's just like it's kind of making like the sport of curling feel a little bit more like pools, darts, bowling. It just doesn't really feel like it really belongs in the Olympics.
You're really bringing down the curl.
Yeah.
that didn't work.
Yeah, because you know, like I have nothing against curling. I think it's a pretty interesting sport. It's very addictive to watch, but like I could train enough to do it myself, and that just doesn't seem fair to the Olympic athletes who've been working since they're kids to become those kind of athletes. And so I know I might be like rubbing some feathers for sure, but it's like, you know, it's
Coming next Winter Olympics, Scott curling.
Yeah, I know. I sound like an old man at this point. I was like, oh, you
I
got
could have gotten pro if it
could-
weren't for that knee injury.
could have gone. No, I have no. I could have gone pro if I wasn't so lazy.
I could have gone pro if I cared.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, Brazil won their very first Winter Olympics ever.
Really?
Yeah, downhill skiing, that like racing. I mean, there's a bunch of different kinds of events. You know, they have to, you know, do all sorts of timed events. They have to do the one with the gun where they, what's it called? Duathlon, where it's basically just skiing and shooting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so there was a couple of those as well. And then snowboarding, a couple of big
I heard there was
names.
something up with the luge.
The luge, yep, they brought back skeleton racing. It's where you go down head first. And then I
Whoa.
sent you a clip of a guy who basically put the Venom helmet on. He has a Venom helmet where
Venom.
Exactly. But I was kind of disappointed because the person who posted about it online didn't use the Eminem Venom song.
Venom.
Such a wasted opportunity overall. But yeah, man, it's crazy. The Olympics is going on pretty strongly right now, and I'm going to look up the Olympic medal count right now. So Olympic medal count, of course, Norway. They've pretty much dominating since 2014.
Wow.
The U.S. hasn't been number one in Winter Olympics since 2010. Yeah, sad. Sad. But right now, Norway is leading with 12 gold medals with 27 overall. Italy is at 8, you know, representing home turf, with 22 overall. Netherlands is at 6 gold medals with 12 overall. And it looks like the United States is number 4.
Okay. We're number 4.
Yep. 5
We're
gold
number
medals.
4.
Yeah, so I'm doing pretty well overall. But the numbers kind of skewed a little bit because U.S. is 17 medals overall. Netherlands is 12 medals overall, but I might have to do with the fact that they're gold medal totals, not necessarily associated with that. But yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, the J.H. Klebo from Norway has won 4 gold medals this year. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
And then a guy, F. von Allman from Switzerland, won 3 gold medals. So there's a lot of representation of a lot of those Scandinavian countries for sure, which is a broad way of saying many of those countries as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, honestly, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. Olympics, as always, of course, the guy from Norway who basically admitted to cheating on his girlfriend and was very much apologetic in a post interview after winning the gold medal.
Wow.
He used that interview to basically say, I met the love of my life 6 months ago. 3 months later, I cheated on her. Biggest mistake of my life.
Wow.
And everyone, and even his ex was like, yeah, that's pretty cringe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his declaration did
He
not.
put it all out there.
He really did, yeah. Oof, yeah. I
Talking
feel bad for
about,
him.
airing dirty laundry, right?
Right. Like that's like one of those things where it's like you get secondhand embarrassment. It's like watching The Office all over again. You can't watch The Office without feeling the cringe of Michael Scott, especially like season 1 where it's just like he's terrible.
The Office, but as you grow more
Yeah.
empathetic, you can watch it less and less.
That's true. Doesn't it always feel like the United States at this point feels like The Office in terms of like cringe reality? Yeah. But anyways, let's throw it on over to some music for you guys. We played enough of the MCAT clips, so we're going to throw it over to some music for you guys. Here's Oliver Tree's Bounce. No, that's not it, but whatever. I guess I didn't get Bounce already. Oh, there it is.
beginning of Bastion.
His whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
I did not play the right song, but yet again. Okay, I'll let it play out. Cool. All right, so what do you want to talk about when we come back?
Let's see. It's 12:30.
Yep.
Only halfway through.
I'll go to the news just to kind of see what's going on then. Well, it looks like there's a big railroad merger happening, $85 million railroad merger in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians weighing in about how they could mean to state's business and egg producers, blah, blah, blah. Montana Times. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is a kind of a big deal because, Burlington Northern Santa Fe owes 90% of the rail in Montana because Montana Rail was kind of its own thing. And so it looks like two companies want to do a merger, Union Pacific and North Fork Southern. So they do want to they call it a coast-to-coast behemoth spanning more than 50,000 miles of track in 43 states.
Wow.
Crazy. $85 billion in transaction would create the largest railroad in the country and the first single rail line connecting the east and west coasts. Oh, that's crazy.
We could talk about Jason Takes Manhattan.
You can if you, we can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. That was Life Goes On by Oliver Tree.
Well, Scott, I guess life goes on.
It does go on. And you know whose life doesn't go on? People killed by Jason Voorhees.
Yes, just at the Roxy watched the Friday the 13th, this might be the first one without the Friday the 13th label.
Okay.
But Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay. Yeah, because there was copyright issues with the name, which is why they had Jason X much later
Jason
down.
Goes to Hell. Or,
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got Jason Takes Manhattan. Probably my favorite one I've seen so far, honestly.
You haven't seen Jason X?
No, I've seen Jason X.
Okay.
That was actually the first one I saw.
Okay, because that was one of those movies that are just you gotta watch Jason X.
You gotta watch
Jason
X.
You can't watch any of the Friday the 13th movies without watching Jason X just for the clear ham of
it's
that.
ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous. It is the most strange, weird. They use a holodeck to trick Jason, and he's basically has somebody in a sleeping bag and hits someone else over with the sleeping bag, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And then he fights a robot lady, who's technically a sex doll for the
that's
guy.
Right.
It was weird.
That's right. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that and Alien Resurrection on TV.
Oh yeah, Resurrection.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro, Winona Ryder.
She's in that one?
Yeah.
It's been years and years since I've seen it.
That movie holds up like crazy. And the fact that people didn't love it when it came out, and when you watch it again, it's this is great. And the fact they have the whole underwater sequence alone is just
Swimming xenomorphs.
the swinging one, and just the look and the it holds up even today. Guillermo del Toro, he's such a unknown at the time, and only people who start really giving him credit after he did the Hellboy series.
Yeah. Anyway, Jason X.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah,
he doesn't spend too much time in the city, as it's pretty much him kind of doing his thing for 90% of the movie, right?
Yeah, well, it's that type of movie where you can tell that they made the concept first, right?
Yep.
They named the movie, and then they sold it, and then they wrote it.
Yes.
That's probably the order of events.
Yeah.
They were what if Jason was in Manhattan?
Yeah.
I just watched Escape from Manhattan with Snake Plissken.
Yeah. So you're telling me is that Hollywood writers procrastinate?
No, see, the way I think it happened is they had this idea and they were that'd be so cool if he was in the city. And then the studio was like, yeah, but budget.
Yeah.
It's really expensive to shoot in Manhattan.
And they didn't have a British Columbia to lean on.
Exactly.
Because that's literally where they shoot all the city scenes is in just Canada, because the tax system in America is ridiculous when it comes to those Hollywood pictures.
Yep. But, I really like that it gave Jason more character for one of the first times in the franchise.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he like climbs out of the harbor and he's like about to follow them, and then he looks up and sees a billboard and tilts his head, and then we see the billboard and it's a giant hockey mask. He's like, oh,
whoa,
that's me.
Just like has an I Love New York shirt on. Has like a heart balloon for some reason.
Also, I just love when...
And he just hangs out with the green M&M the whole time.
I just love when you get a character like Jason or like Michael Myers, and you throw them into an environment where there's just a ton of people, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this.
I really feel like they're missing out on so many potential scenes that they could have done. So let's create our own scene with Jason, and let's have you narrate him going to either a bodega or whatever.
Jason goes to 30 Rockefeller Plaza.
Okay, cool.
Yes, he's got to see the Rockefeller building. He's like, wow, this is NBC.
And then instantly walks onto the ice and falls. Because there's the plaza and they have ice skating there.
Then he falls down into the pond, and then people are like, Jason's still down there for the next... Oh my God. Okay.
Okay,
so,
go on.
So,
use
use
it.
Best character in Jason Takes Manhattan is this random boat crew member who just shows up, and every scene he's in, he just goes, "You're all gonna die. Jason's gonna get you," and then he just leaves.
I want to be that old guy in the movies where he just warns the young people to stay away.
But he just keeps doing it.
Yeah.
And he's not even warning them. They're already on the boat, and he's just like, you're gonna die. And then he just says that and walks away, and that happens 3 or 4 times.
That's pretty funny, actually. Well, because, if you watch it in the movies, especially some of the sequels where you have, a young guy who, survived the previous movie who's just like, we gotta stop Jason. It's like, yeah, right, kid.
That didn't even happen in Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, but in a couple of them, they have done that same thing.
This one, so many of the characters just stood there and went, no.
Yeah.
As Jason just slowly walks towards them.
Well, because, when you think about it, Friday the 13th feels like it's very anthology. Because the first one is his mom, spoiler.
The timeline doesn't work at all.
No, and then in the second movie, he's basically just wearing a sack over his head the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then he gets his iconic mask in the third movie, so one can separate the Friday the 13th from the Jason Voorhees of the world.
The mask also exists in the first movie because Pamela wears it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Friday the 13th.
Yeah, but continue on. He just fell down on the sheet of ice on 30 Rockefeller Plaza.
Then he sinks to the bottom, and then it freezes over. And then he sits there for 15 years, but it's still the 80s.
Yes.
Because that's what they always do. It's 15 years ago this happened.
Exactly.
Anyway, and then he gets struck by lightning again, and then he walks out of the pond, and he goes... And then he sees a teenager, and he's like, oh, well... I'm Jason, that's a teenager, and now this is my lake.
And then he goes on a date with Carrie Bradshaw, and she writes about it later that night. It's New York, after all.
Yeah.
He needs to take Manhattan. That's the only way to take Manhattan is to hook up with Carrie Bradshaw.
One thing that they did was Jason just walks through other people's stuff while pursuing the final girl.
Yes.
Like a boombox, he just kicks it.
And it's like, hey man, what you doing?
It just takes off the mask. I was like, wow, they're letting Jason like have a personality, and that's crazy.
It is pretty good. I wonder if they were just kind of like on the fly, or
Yeah.
they do all sorts of fun stuff like that. Because that's what they did with the Beetlejuice movie, where Beetlejuice would show us like, want to see something scary, and then you would do the face. That's kind of what it feels like, and it coded that.
Oh yeah, it was very much like that.
Yeah, a lot of movies in that time really kind of like played around with that kind of like horror humor.
Yeah.
Very much like the Dan Aykroyd scene in the Twilight Zone movie. Where it's like, want to see something really scary?
Oh,
pull
that one,
pull
yeah.
over. And then it's like when you watch it again, it's like, that's not scary. But if you're watching it not knowing what's going to happen, of course.
And don't forget to tell them Large Marge
Nope.
sent ya.
That's crazy because you got Albert Brooks and Dan Aykroyd basically just narrating the Twilight Zone movie the whole entire time while they're just driving cross country.
Imagine if you would. A world, but things are not quite right. Things are scary. You've entered the bad world.
The bad world. You're listening to 101.5. We're actually going to be playing Oliver Tree's Bounce right now. Ridiculous.
You fool. You thought you were in the good world.
The good world, but you're not in good world. You're in bad world. World that is bad. Bad world. Bad. Now, the bad world. But now you're in the neutral world. We don't care one way or the other. Tell my wife hello.
All I know is my gut says maybe.
I'll maybe consider thinking about the idea of doing that thing you said. I'm offended by their neutrality.
At least with enemies, you know where they stand. The scary door.
The scary door.
I think one of my favorites, just for how brief it is like, I've combined all the world's most evil DNA to see what the world's most evil creature would be. It was man.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. It wasn't any kind of big bomb or weapons. It was mankind's noblest of all creatures, the dinosaurs. Pretty much. Yeah, the scary door, like all that stuff was like all
Scary
just
doors.
beautifully written. Where they just throw a bunch of ideas out there and then they did it.
Yeah.
That's why you need those kind of like things just to kind of lighten things up.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like they maybe even just threw a lot of episode ideas into the scary door. Like, this wouldn't work for a full episode. Throw it into the scary door.
Oh, so a new movie is coming out recently about it's kind of like a ventriloquist horror movie.
Oh, yeah, you sent me the thing.
Yeah, that's the voice of Dipper.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that's the actor who John Ritter's son, Jason Ritter, is doing it. Okay, we've got about a minute left in this song. Well, I guess we can talk about the trains. The trains. Because it's it's a major merger. It's a huge merger.
Take it, Gandalf. Take it.
My father,
You must take it.
you cannot offer me this ring.
I'm giving it to you.
Be careful, or it'll be Jack.
Pretty much. It'll be Jack. Yeah.
Hi, boy.
His sleep schedule's terrible. I thought my sleep schedule was bad, but I barely see him as much.
Yeah. That boy needs a hobby.
He's fine. All right, so that was Oliver Tree Bounce for sure this time. All right.
Bouncing though.
Yep. So big news happening here in Montana. Well, not necessarily Montana, but the entire apparatus of the railways of the United States.
Look, if you're familiar with the Missoula subreddit, you'll know it's the trains.
It's the trains. Yes, this train is a gospel train. No, just kidding. I sang that song a long time ago. But regardless, Burlington Northern Sandway is looking to oppose the merger between Union Pacific and North Fork Southern in a coast-to-coast behemoth spanning more than 50,000 miles of track in 43 states. So this is going to be the first coast-to-coast, rail-to-rail, one company ownership of this whole entire thing. And in fact, Montana Rail Link, they sold to Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and Montana Rail Link owned about 90% of the railway here in Montana, which is crazy. But according to the Montana Free Press, The proposed merger of Union Pacific and Northern Southern has gotten a little media attention in Montana. It's a big deal in the railway world. On July 29th, 2025, UP announced its intent to acquire NS for $85 billion in transactions that would create the largest railroad in the country and the first single rail line connecting east and west coasts. So that's the whole story is on Montana Free Press, and you can read a little bit more about this as well, but that's a big story that's dropping. And, these giant mergers, monopolies, that was kind of like the whole thing against Rockefeller because, he built the trains, he owned the tracks, he made steel, did all these kinds of things. He also got a lot of young people organs when he was getting older. He was into that kind of stuff where he would just like replace his organs, and he would be like, well, my body's like a locomotive. It just needs to replace the parts and it's good to go. He lived to 101, by the way. Yeah, so whatever for him.
Maybe Peter Thiel's onto something.
Terrible. Anyways, so let's see. There's some other things happening as well. There's the Missoula County scoping EPA for infrastructure grant for the Y. So this is part of their county and continuation of TEDs. The new TEDs, which is the Targeted Economic Development Districts, in hopes to use government money to help build infrastructure and at the same time higher the taxes of this particular targeted zone for the purposes of building infrastructure in that site. So a little bit more pricey housing to build that infrastructure out, and at the same time, there's still some like nuance to this that I'm not covering completely, but this is like a new way that the Montana legislature has reinterpreted our tax increment financing, and so TED districts and Missoula County is looking for your voice at Missoula County Voice to voice how you feel about using tax increment financing to help build out these districts for more workforce housing in targeted economic development districts. So what do you think about that? The idea that you're creating infrastructure and then using future taxes on the people who live there to basically build that up.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, you have to do less levies in the present, right? So in terms of that, it does save taxpayers money for now because the idea is that it'll pay for itself later.
Exactly. It's a kind of like a bonding.
Yeah.
In terms of like short-term hikes for that purpose of paying for your water, sewer, stormwater, all that kind of stuff built in together. And it's an interesting prospect because these kind of TEDs are one of the things that are adding to this workforce housing deal. And I always feel like a lot of people are still kind of confused on the concept of workforce housing because it really feels like it's like pushing other people away. It's like you don't meet a certain requirement to be allowed to live in these homes. But at the same time, workforce housing does allow for more housing stock.
See, when I hear workforce housing, I think of company towns.
Exactly.
Where it's like, and I know that's not how it works, but it's like, gives me the impression it's like, oh, the company I'm working for owns this housing. Yeah. Which isn't true, but.
Yeah. Well, there's always all these attempts to try to figure out how housing works in conjunction. And, when you put workforce housing in, it's all associated with certain jobs. It gets a little bit gray areas, and I can understand where you're coming from there. Mm-hmm. But, the whole idea is that Missoula has this mindset where we need to build all this housing stock so we can have the next generation and then the following generations to get into housing the same kind of benefits that our parents had getting into housing at the same time. So I don't know. That's the thing is that, population getting bigger, and we just need to find a way to keep up with the demand and the more people needing housing in some kind of like roof over their heads at some point. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I think we've gotten to a point where we're just like, we're not keeping up with the growth of Missoula. Yeah. And even some of the stuff that we're building are just like, well, no, that's not going to be affordable for anybody. Yeah. It's like nothing's affordable.
Who's this for?
Nobody can afford anything. And like, I also feel, a little bit bad for the developer too, because the cost of materials and all this stuff, all the delays, all the things that are preventing them from even building. Like we are in a point of Missoula where we actually have developers interested in building. Other communities don't have the advantage of wanting to build out more. And I know I'm sounding like a developer apologist, but it does, like, as long as we have people who want to invest in Missoula will continue to exist. Yeah. It's hard to create a sustainable town because we created a
Boom towns are a thing for a reason.
yes,
You know?
economic impact. You know, people want to come here for more touristy things.
Yeah.
You know, trails, nature, all that kind of stuff. There's no like big business or industrial kind of thing because Bonner just closed and fired a whole bunch of people just recently too.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, Smurfit Stone was one of the big money makers for a lot of people who have those kind of big jobs.
Before that, they closed down the mill up at Sealy.
Oh yeah, mill. That's a big one. Lumber mills.
Yeah.
You know, here in Montana, lumber mills, you know, in the long term they make sense, but in the short term they don't make as much sense because we don't get as much rain. Trees don't grow as fast here compared to places like in Oregon and Washington, which they have actual tree farms for that purpose. I mean, I don't doubt that we can't use the trees over by the wastewater treatment facility because they have all those rich in nitrates that help grow a lot of those trees. By the time when we made them, they're the popular hybrid trees. We were wanting to sell the wood to create, you know, like economic benefit. And then after 10, 15 years later, after that was planted, we found out that it's not as worth as much as we could get it for, and it's not worth selling.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of came into one of those things where it's just like, we can't really do anything with it. And so then we had more suggestions for other crops that we can grow there, like hemp. Well, hemp was one of them during one of the comments during city council, because city owns, well, not technically owns, but they rent it, and they're looking to acquire it at some point for the water treatment plant. So having a natural water treatment to, you know, lower the nitrates in the water after the wastewater.
Yeah. Speaking of the wastewater treatment plant, I recently heard that they were looking at replacing the pipeline to there.
Yep, it's going to be $5 million to $11 million to replace a pipe that's below the river. It's there's sewer, a main line. It's going to cost quite a bit of money. It's in concrete. It's one of those old pipes that was from the 1960s. And I wouldn't doubt that the metal that they used was full of lead and also was involved with battles during World War II, because a lot of the metals in our infrastructures were decommissioned warships.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember them talking about it in some of the city council meetings, is that some of them were old metal from the World War II, and those were degrading and needed replacement.
Yeah.
But that's when, you know, before the city of Missoula had, you know, used eminent domain and used the lawsuit to buy the company to make it the public utility that we have today.
Yeah. Well, honestly, when you think about it, 5 to 11 million for the whole sewer main line isn't that much.
Yeah.
I mean, considering what you get out of it.
Yeah, but the 11 million is like the highest point, and then the 5 million, because, you know, KPAX broke the story. Well, that's where I read it from. And they have more details on it on kpax.com, so you guys can check that out as well. I always want to give homage and the people who actually wrote the story if I'm going to move forward with this as well. And, you know, as we're even talking about, Missoula Current is also talking about, you know, letters of interest to the EPA to determine if the county and the proposed infrastructure work is eligible for credit assistance under the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act. So this is a big part of the WISE, workers, infrastructure, all this stuff. And this is an article by Martin Kidson at Missoula Current, and you can read the rest of it right now at MissoulaCurrent.com. So, you know, you got to diversify, get different places and different things. I like sometimes going to the Daily Montana because they have a lot of opinion articles that are pretty great. They do some pretty good stuff over there too.
Yeah. Also, I just on Valentine's Day watched a documentary at the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival.
Yes, you have a kind of a quasi-personal connection to that documentary.
Yeah, quasi. So it was the documentary How to Kill a Mermaid.
Oof.
And it focuses right here in Missoula, Montana. Great documentary, by the way.
Okay.
Like, very well made. You should check it out.
Okay.
But it was about Linnea Mills, who drowned a few years back. One moment.
Okay, so anyways, you're listening to 101.5 KFGM, Missoula, Bitterroot, Frenchtown.
Yeah.
And yeah, so more on this documentary, you were talking a little bit more about it as well, and, you know, Death of a Mermaid?
How to Kill a Mermaid.
How to Kill a Mermaid.
Yes. So it featured Linnea Mills, who unfortunately had a fatal accident out at McDonald's Lake in Glacier. And just everything that went into that and how it affected the family and where the family is now. So, you know, it was tragic, it was frustrating, it was hopeful. It was beautiful. It was an amazing documentary. Check it out if you get the opportunity.
Yeah. And, you know, this is part of the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival. And if you want to learn more, you can go to the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival.org for more information about these titles and more. A lot of times, if a documentary does well and a lot of people have their own votes, they do a voting award, People's Choice Award. They do a re-showing at their final gala, which they do probably by the end of this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually do it. They usually try to start things up.
They've
like
always got something good.
Yeah, it's like usually like a Friday night to a Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Well, it was heavy though, so
Yeah, it's never.
viewer beware.
Yeah, so looking at the schedule for sure, just looking it up right now. Let's see. They got some doc shops, so if you're interested in learning more about how to make your own doc shops and talk to some people as well, they usually run here at the Missoula Public Library on the 4th floor, and they'll be running this from the 16th through the 20th. You know, the Big Sky Pitch takes place on Friday, February 20th at the Missoula Children's Theater. And so the Big Sky Pitch is essentially where you get to pitch ideas for documentaries, for people to make, all that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
And those are as good, and I know they've done a lot of this as well. And you can go to bigskyfilmfest.org for more information as well.
If you want to take the first steps to making your own documentary, consider coming down to MCAT. Here at Missoula Community Access Television,
Of course.
we have the expertise and the equipment to help you make your own movie, documentary, TV show, animation, basically any kind of media. We can even help you make a radio show here on KFGM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got equipment for checkout. We've got studio space. We have editing suites. All sorts of things to help you create your media.
Yes. It's all here, and if you want to learn more, you can go to MCAT.org. All right, so that pretty much does it for MCAT Radio. I have a final song for you guys to wrap up our show. Here is Oliver Tree, Cowboys Don't Cry. Okay, I accidentally had this on. Okay, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
So thanks for watching MCAT Radio.
Thank you for watching.